All right, let's dive into something fascinating: the massive global fight for who rules the skies. With travel demand just completely off the charts, the competition to carry the most passengers is more intense than ever. So today, we are breaking down the official numbers for the peak summer travel season, Q3 2025, to see who really comes out on top.
Okay, so let's just cut to the chase. If you had to guess, right now, which airline flies the most people on the entire planet, you might think of a huge American carrier, right? Or maybe one of the big Middle Eastern airlines. Well, you know what? The real answer might just surprise you.
Because this battle for the number one spot, it's not at all what you'd expect. It's this spectacular showdown between a massive, traditional U.S. airline and a scrappy, no-frills, low-cost carrier from Ireland. We're talking two totally different ways of doing business, but both achieving just incredible scale. But hang on, before we jump into the official countdown, we kind of need to understand the bigger picture here. These numbers, they don't just exist in a vacuum. There are these huge global trends shaping who's winning and who's losing this whole battle for the skies. So as we go through the list, I want you to keep three key things in mind. First, just the unstoppable takeover of the low-cost model. Second, Asia's aviation market is back, and it's back with a vengeance. And finally, there's this really interesting split in strategy. Are airlines chasing the most passengers? That's volume. Or are they chasing the most profit, which is value? All right, here we go. The countdown officially begins at number 10. Now, these are the airlines that are really battling it out, climbing that global ladder where just a few 100,000 passengers can make all the difference. Kicking things off at number 10, we've got Turkish Airlines with 27.2 million passengers. Their secret weapon? That Istanbul hub. It's an absolute geostrategic goldmine, making them a super connector between East and West. Just squeaking ahead at number 9 is EasyJet, the European budget airline, hitting 27.7 million by basically owning the sun routes from the UK to Spain and Greece. And then, at number 8, we have the fastest growing airline on this list by a mile, India's Indigo, just soaring with 30 million passengers. So how in the world is Indigo pulling this off? Well, get this. They placed an order for nearly 1,000. That's right, 1,000 new aircraft. It's just a mind-boggling number. And it's a crystal clear sign that they are in full-blown expansion mode, dead set on dominating that massive Indian market. All right, moving on to our next two contenders. At number 7, we've got the original low-cost powerhouse, Southwest Airlines, carrying 34.6 million people, mostly all within the U.S. But look at this jump. Way ahead at number 6 is China Eastern, with a huge 42 million passengers. And this right here perfectly illustrates that second major trend we talked about. For the first time since 2019, Asia's aviation giants are fully awake. China's domestic travel has hit all-time highs, and carriers like China Eastern, well, they're not in recovery mode anymore. They are absolutely dominating. Okay, now we're getting into the real heavyweights. These are the household names, right? The established giants of the US and Chinese markets that move just a staggering number of people every single day. No surprise here, the American legacy carriers really dominate this part of the list. Coming in hot at number 5 is United, with 48.4 million passengers, and that's largely thanks to their big bet on long-haul international routes. But before we hit number 3, there's a massive player splitting up this American trio. And that would be China Southern, sliding into the number 4 spot. With a whopping 50 million passengers, it has officially reclaimed its title as Asia's biggest airline by sheer volume. Now back to the U.S. giants. Holding strong at number 3 is Delta Airlines, carrying an impressive 56 million people. You know, this quote just perfectly nails that volume versus value idea. Delta is the textbook example. They might not be number 1 in pure headcount, but by focusing on things like premium cabins and making sure their flights are on time, they often come out on top with profitability. It just goes to show that carrying the most people isn't the only way to win in this game. And now, this is the moment we've all been waiting for, the final showdown for the top spot. In one corner, you've got the legacy giant with the largest fleet in the world. And in the other corner, the ultra-low-cost challenger that has absolutely mastered the art of volume. So, for this specific quarter, the absolute peak of summer 2025, the airline that flew more people than any other on Earth was Ryanair. Can you believe it? They carried a stunning 61.5 million passengers. Their whole strategy of just packing planes on short European holiday routes paid off in a huge way.
So that puts American Airlines, with 59 million passengers, at number 2 for this quarter. And that's the key part, right? Here's the twist. While Ryanair absolutely won the summer battle, American often wins the year-long war. Its massive scale operates consistently all year round, while Ryanair's numbers have this huge summer peak. It's why you see them trading blows for that number 1 spot all the time. It just depends on when you measure.
So what it all comes down to is this complete clash of strategies. Ryanair is all about that low-cost point-to-point model, using crazy low fares to get massive volume. American, on the other hand, uses a traditional legacy hub-and-spoke model with higher average fares and a big focus on connecting traffic through its major airports. We're talking 2 completely different paths to get to the top. So after that whirlwind countdown, what does it all really mean? Let's kind of zoom out for a second and answer some of the big questions that this ranking brings up about the future of flying. Now, this is probably what a lot of you are thinking. I mean, we hear about Emirates and Qatar Airways all the time. They're everywhere. So why in the world aren't they on this list? Well, the answer comes down to a really important difference in how we measure bigness.
See, this list is all about pure headcount, just the total number of individual people on a plane. Short-haul airlines like Ryanair or EasyJet are absolute masters at this game. But Emirates and Qatar, they excel at something called RPKs, or revenue passenger kilometers. Basically, they fly fewer people, but they fly them on much, much longer routes.
So what's the single biggest takeaway from all of this? Well, look at this. 4 of the world's top 10 airlines are low-cost carriers. That's 40%. It's just powerful proof that for a huge, huge chunk of the traveling public, price is still the most important factor. The budget airline model, it's not some little niche anymore. It's a totally dominant force in global aviation. Which, it leaves us with one last question, and this one's for you. This entire industry is basically split between these 2 philosophies. You've got the Ryanair model, getting you there for the absolute lowest price possible. And you've got the Delta model, offering a more premium, comfortable experience. So, as you plan your next trip, when you're staring at that booking page, what's the deciding factor for you?